Welcome to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. This is your go-to source for practical advice and support for when the divorce process has finished. Join us each weekday for a quick chat where we'll cover a variety of topics related to post-divorce. Together, we'll explore the emotional, financial, and legal aspects of life after divorce and help you find the best path forward for you and your family. Here's your host and Certified Divorce Financial Analyst professional, Mike Fulkerson.
Today, we're diving into a topic that's both common and challenging: co-parenting arrangements for divorced parents. So whether you're navigating this yourself or you're looking to understand how to support someone in the situation, we got you covered here. Now, to start, let's acknowledge that co-parenting can be tough. I mean, it's difficult. It's really a big adjustment, especially if the divorce didn't go smoothly, or was very difficult kind of thing. So the well-being of the kids should always be the top priority. And this is meant to get into some tips to make this process as smooth as possible. Now, even though divorce is done and we don't have attorneys, we still need to communicate. So open communication is key. Both parents should maintain open and respectful communication. This involves, anything from discussing schedules to school activities, major decisions regarding the children, those type of topics. And as a parent, you still want to be consistent. Whether you have the children or you don't have the children, both of you really need to have some kind of consistency. And kids like routine. So whether it's bedtime, meals, discipline, children find comfort in knowing what to expect. But with that, there also has to be some flexibility. So life happens, things come up, sometimes schedules need to adapt. So really be willing to make adjustments and compromises to accommodate anything that may arise. I mean, it may be you, it may be your ex-spouse. You really want to make sure that you guys can really adjust during times where it's necessary. Both parents also should be on the same page when it comes to major decisions like education, healthcare, religious beliefs. Consistency in values and expectations help children feel secure. Consistency and being on the same page, very similar. You guys want to try to do what's comfortable for the kids. Remember, a lot of this is for the kids. It's not for you or your ex-spouse. It really is to make things transition easily as possible for your kids. And one thing you always want to do is avoid conflict in front of your kids. You don't want to argue or anything like that. If you need to discuss something that's, serious, or you have a difference of opinion, you're going to have to do it privately, either a phone call or in person, anything away from the kids so they don't get caught in the middle or overhear what's taking place. And if you happen to be in a relationship where it is difficult and challenging, you might try to seek help from a family therapist, counselor. You never know, might be able to turn things around, make the communication easier, and your ex easier to work with as well. Now, when you do make some subtle changes or adjustments, you may want to get that down in writing and document it, whether it's emails or, texts or something that you can save. And if it's verbal, you definitely need to look at getting it written down so that there's no misunderstandings and you can use it as a reference in the future conversations you might have. We want to respect, everybody's personal boundaries. Just because we share children doesn't mean you need to share every detail of your personal life. I mean, you are divorced and there's a reason why. So healthy boundaries lead to smoother co-parenting relationships. And last but not least, don't forget the self-care. Self-care is very important for your own emotional and mental well-being. Find ways to relieve stress, find people to talk to, lean on your support network. And when you're able to do these things, then you're better equipped to provide support for your kids. Now, in closing here, co-parenting is very challenging, but with open communication, being consistent, having flexibility and a focus on the kids, it can work. It really can. If it's too difficult, then the professional help route may be needed. And, we're trying to keep the kids as happy, as stable as possible. If you find yourself with questions, my contact information is in the podcast details. Feel free to reach out and I will assist any way I can. I'm just, here to help. And remember that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter, and you are moving on. So take care and have a good day. Hello. Thanks for joining us on the latest episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce podcast. We dive into some of the most common and complex divorce issues facing people after the divorce is final. So today we're going to talk about a topic that many people find confusing. Can spousal maintenance be modified after a divorce? And to start with, we should define what we mean by spousal maintenance. So spousal maintenance, also known as alimony, is a financial support that a higher earning spouse pays to a lower earning spouse after the divorce. It's not a bad thing. It's often kind of considered bad if you're the payor. If you're the payee, it can be a little bit maybe embarrassing at times, you think. But it's intended to help the lower earning spouse maintain the standard of living that they had during the marriage. It's kind of a fairness thing. Why should one spouse live the high life while the other spouse struggles? Now, when we look at our main topic today, can spousal maintenance be modified after a divorce is final? The short answer is yes. Spousal maintenance can be modified after a divorce. But it's not easy, and it's important to understand that the ability to modify spousal maintenance is not automatic. There must be a significant change in circumstance for the court to consider modifying spousal support. So some examples of significant changes in circumstance that could warrant a modification of spousal maintenance include a significant increase or decrease in either spouse's income, or a change in the recipient's job status. Because when it gets down to it, if you had a significant increase or decrease of income, no matter which side, then that could throw the fairness off of the spousal maintenance. Another piece that they look at would be the recipient's health and whether or not they're able perhaps to work because of their health and stuff. That could have a dramatic impact on their spousal maintenance. Then some other parts that could come into play would be if the recipient spouse remarries or cohabitates with another individual. Then spousal support may automatically be terminated in some cases. So you're going to want to know what your state law says with regards to spousal support, as well as making sure that it's correct when you do the finalization of the divorce. When a modification of spousal maintenance is sought, the court will consider the circumstances of both parties, including their current financial situation, employment status, and standard of living. The court will also take into account the length of the marriage, the age, and health of the parties involved, and any other factors they deem relevant. So, it may not be the answer you're looking for, that spousal maintenance can be modified after divorce, but it is available and it is a process that could take place, and you just need to be aware. Now, there has to be a significant change in circumstance. That's kind of the end all be all. You just can't get it changed for you just don't like it, you don't like how much you're paying, that kind of thing. Now, if you're in a situation where you're seeking the modification of spousal maintenance, it's always best to seek the advice of a qualified attorney. And if you are the recipient, then you also might want to have an attorney review it and make sure that everything is in your best interest. That concludes our episode for today. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. Remember, divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And we will see you on the next podcast. Take care. Welcome back to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce, where we explore topics that empower and uplift you on your journey after the divorce is final. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and today we're going to dive into a topic that many of us face at some point in our lives: the importance of self-care after a divorce is final. I mean, divorces, no matter how amicable and smooth you think the process is, it really does take a toll. It's draining emotionally. It's incredibly challenging. There's a lot of things to juggle. And when the legal proceedings are over and the ink is dry on the divorce papers, it's easy to think that the hard part is behind you. But in many ways, it's just the beginning. I mean, we're going to be moving on to a new stage of our life. So first and foremost, it's crucial to recognize that it's entirely normal to experience a roller coaster of emotions after your divorce. I mean, I experienced them after my divorce. Everything from, relief, sadness, anger, confusion, heck, sometimes all at once. Self-care during this time is not a luxury, but a necessity. It's important to take care of yourself. Now, what does it look like, when it's all said and done after divorce? So let's just go over 4 areas real quickly on different self-care. The first part is emotional healing. The emotional impact of a divorce can be profound. Most of us don't get divorced because it's a good thing. It's very difficult. And it's important to give yourself permission to grieve, reflect, and heal. I mean, depending on the length of the marriage, it could feel like the marriage itself was someone you lost. And that's okay. You don't want to bottle up your feelings. You want to allow yourself to process and express them in healthy ways. Some ideas would be journaling, mindfulness, meditation, definitely are all helpful tools. Second part of self-care is more your physical well-being. Physical health is very closely tied to your emotional well-being. However, you want to maintain good physical health because that keeps everything moving every day, especially if you have kids. You want to be in your top-notch shape. So you want to prioritize regular exercise. Make sure you're eating well, even if you slipped a little bit during the divorce, that's fine. But you want to get back to a normal eating habits. And then also adequate sleep. So physical activity will also be a way to boost your mood, relieve stress, while the nutritious diet and sufficient rest can improve your overall well-being and just your feeling of how you feel that day. So number 3 is really like rebuilding your identity. A divorce often leads to significant shift in your identity and life roles. Embrace the opportunity to rediscover who you are. Take some time to reconnect with your passions and hobbies and interests that may have taken a back seat to the marriage. This is your chance to reinvent yourself and grow in new ways, or just kind of explore who you were, what you feel like you might have lost, and try them out and see. Maybe it's time to move on and find new hobbies and such. At the same time, it may be just great rediscovering what you do. And don't forget about number 4 here, which is social support. We don't want to isolate ourselves during this time. Lean on the support systems. People are always happy to help. Reach out to your friends, family. There are also support groups. They can provide emotionally valuable support and companionship. It's okay to ask for help. Not everybody thinks you're going to be able to get through this on your own. And so feel free to ask. In the end here, self-care after divorce is about acknowledging the importance of self-love and self-compassion. You want to recognize your own worth and embrace the journey of healing and self-discovering as you move on. Remember, there is no set timeline for how long it takes to heal, go through the process. Each person's journey is unique to themselves. Be patient with yourself. Don't rush the process. Let it flow. Healing after divorce is not a destination, but a continuous path of growth and self-discovery. So find something that fits into your routine. It'll work best for you if it flows in your day. I want to thank you for joining Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. And I hope you learned a few things today, took away a couple bullet points as you look at self-care after a divorce. If you have any questions, need any assistance, anything like that, my information is in the description. I'm always happy to assist in any way I can. And just, I want you to remember that divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. And with that, I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode. Hi, welcome to Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. Today, we are diving into a topic that many people find themselves facing at some point of their lives: living alone after the divorce is final. Life after divorce can be a challenging and transformative period. It's like closing a chapter in your life, full of memories and experiences. But it's also the beginning of a brand new one. You're no longer half of a couple. You're now an individual with your own unique journey ahead. After the dust settles, living alone can be an opportunity to rediscover yourself. It's a time to rekindle your interests, passions, and dreams that may have been set aside during the marriage. It happens, and that's okay. Embrace this as a chance to focus on things like self-care, personal growth, nurturing your own happiness. And yes, I know they sound cliche, but really, they're not. It's important to focus on you at this stage. Living alone post-divorce can feel daunting. I mean, now you have to do everything, right? Everything is there for you to do. And so you're going to have to figure out how it all works and create a new routine for yourself. It's also a chance to embrace your independence. You have the freedom to make those choices and decisions solely for yourself. It is an empowering feeling to realize that you can thrive on your own and you don't need someone else to define your happiness. You can just be you. Your home is your sanctuary, and now it's entirely yours. Consider redesigning your living space to reflect your personality and style. Whether it's redecorating, decluttering, or even moving to a new place, your environment plays a critical role in your post-divorce journey. While living alone has its perks, it can also be lonely at times. Building a strong support system is vital. Lean on your friends and family for emotional support when necessary. Consider seeking professional help or joining support groups to navigate the emotional challenges that come with a divorce. And you get a chance to figure out who you are, where you like to eat, what entertainment you like. You can also be around people and still be by yourself and independent. Taking care of your physical and mental well-being is essential during the transition. Prioritize self-care through exercise, a healthy diet, and mindfulness practices. Make time for activities you love, whether it's reading, painting, or simply going for a long walk. Find things that bring you enjoyment. One of the silver linings of living alone after the divorce is the opportunity to reconnect with your dreams and aspirations. This is your chance to explore new interests and also pursue long-held ambitions. Don't be afraid to dream big and set new goals for yourself. As time goes on, you may find yourself contemplating the idea of dating again. Remember that this is a personal choice. There is no rush. There's no time frame, no timeline. Take your time, heal, and rediscover yourself before entering into a new relationship. When you do decide to date, prioritize open communication and set healthy boundaries with the other person. Wrapping up, living alone after divorce is a challenging journey, but it's also an opportunity for personal growth, self-discovery, and empowerment. It's a time to embrace your independence, surround yourself with a strong support system, and prioritize your well-being. As you move forward, remember that this chapter in your life can be the most empowering one yet. Thank you for joining us today on our episode. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. My contact information is in the description. And until next time, take care and remember, you have the strength to thrive on your own after divorce. That divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. All the best. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ties, a new you after divorce. I'm your host, Mike Fulkerson, and today we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked but incredibly important: setting boundaries with your ex-spouse after the divorce is final. It's a complex journey, and finding the right balance can be challenging, but it's essential for a healthy post-divorce life. Now let's start by addressing the importance of setting boundaries with an ex-spouse after the divorce is final. Setting boundaries is crucial for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, it helps both ex-spouses maintain their independence and emotional well-being. After a divorce, there's often a lot of residual emotional baggage, and setting clear boundaries can protect you from unnecessary emotional turmoil. It's also important for co-parenting successfully and ensuring that both parties have a healthy, respectful, and peaceful post-divorce life. You might be wondering, what exactly are boundaries when it comes to an ex-spouse? Boundaries with an ex-spouse are limits you set to define your new relationship post-divorce. They can include physical boundaries, such as personal space and time, as well as emotional boundaries that help you manage your feelings and interactions. Essentially, they're the guidelines that keep you from getting too entangled and overwhelmed. Now, there are some steps we can take when considering boundaries with our ex-spouse, and they start with self-reflection. Start by understanding, your own needs. This will help you identify where boundaries are needed. Communicate openly. Talk with your ex-spouse about your intentions to set boundaries. It's essential to have a calm, respectful conversation. Don't let it get agitated. Don't let it get upsetting if your ex-spouse doesn't like it or doesn't agree. Just maintain your composure. Be clear and specific. So your boundaries they should be well defined. For example, you might agree on a specific communication hours or how to handle shared responsibilities. Stay consistent. This one's, I think, pretty important. Once you've established your boundaries, you got to stick to them. You can't just willy-nilly use them when you want and don't want kind of thing. Consistency is key in reinforcing your message. And then seek support. Consider involving a therapist or a mediator to help facilitate these discussions, especially if there's a lot of tension between you and your ex-spouse. You might need kind of like an independent third party. Now, once we go through the steps here, let's check out some common boundaries that people often set with their ex-spouses. First is communication. It's still very important to communicate with your ex-spouse, especially if there's kids involved after the divorce. If you don't have kids, you may still have some residual issues that need to be taken care of once the divorce is finalized. So you want to establish guidelines for when and how you communicate, whether it's about co-parenting issues or just general matters like I'd mentioned. Personal space. You got to define your personal space and privacy boundaries. This can include rules about entering each other's homes or personal lives. And it's important that each of you respect those rules. Financial boundaries determine how you'll handle shared financial responsibilities, including child support, spousal maintenance, and just shared expenses. So when you're going through the financial side, you may want to set up reoccurring transactions that's predictable every month. Social boundaries. Decide how you'll handle social events, your mutual friends, and interactions with your children during these events. That's great. You've gone through the process, everything's all set up, and you're ready to set boundaries. However, let's talk about some of the challenges that might arise when setting boundaries with an ex-spouse. So setting boundaries with an ex-spouse is not always easy. Some common challenges include lingering emotional attachments, power struggles, differing expectations, and the fear of upsetting your children. It's critical to just be patient, empathetic, and willing to adapt as necessary. Doesn't mean let them walk all over you. Doesn't mean they won't actually respect your boundaries in the end. It just may take a little more time, but it's worth it for your well-being and the well-being of your children if you have them. Now, speaking of kids, how can setting boundaries benefit them in a post-divorce situation? Well, setting boundaries not only benefits you, but it also provides stability and predictability for your children. They can have a sense of security and understand the structure of the new family dynamics. This in turn can help reduce stress and anxiety, allowing them to adjust more smoothly to the divorce because it will be very difficult for them during this process of change. Change is hard on adults. Change is also very difficult for children. So let's wind down this topic. Boundaries are about self-care and maintaining respect and balance in your post-divorce life. They can be a powerful tool for a more peaceful coexistence. You want to be patient, seek support when needed, and always prioritize the well-being of yourself and your children. That's it for today's episode of Breaking Ties, A New You After Divorce. We hope you found the information valuable. Divorce is not the end of your story. It is the start of your next great chapter. Until next time, take care and stay strong.
We want to thank you for listening to this episode of Breaking Ties, A New You After Divorce with Mike Fulkerson. For questions, please reach out to Mike via email in the description or give him a shout at 630-444-1410. Remember to subscribe, like, and follow.